Hey guys, so I came across this video on TikTok and I'm going to be playing it for you guys to listen. Of course, you already know what the title of the video is, so I just want to analyze what this brother is saying on TikTok. So I'm going to be giving you my opinion. I'm going to be the devil's advocate. I'm going to be talking against what he said, and I'm going to be talking about like siding what he said because he has some points, and most of it to me, he doesn't really have points. So let's play the video. Okay, so let's listen to what he has to say.
This is a very good advice to you guys, okay? All Africans watching me right now, you come to the United States, listen to this advice. Please, I don't know what you do for a living. I don't know how much money you have. I don't know how you think. My thing is, you are in the United States as an immigrant. Please, buy the house you can afford. Buy the house you can afford. The house that you can pay. You sign up for mortgage because you can pay that amount. Not to go buy a house where you know if you pay. A lot of you don't understand. You're trying to prove a point to your friends and your relatives that will not help you pay your mortgage. Buy a house you can afford. One of the reasons why I'm saying it is, why is it that a lot of us Africans, you go sign up for a mortgage that you cannot afford with the intention of putting somebody in your basement for rent? Why you they go buy big house only for you to rent your basement? Why are you buying a big house only for you to put somebody in your basement? You know what that will cost you? That will cost you your family. If you have a spouse and kids, that could scatter your family. You people keep putting people in your basement because you need 1,200, 1,300 from them every month. In your mind, you're making money off your house, but you bring in spirits, different evil spirits in your house without you knowing. And everything you do in your house is out there because you have strangers in your basement. You have people in your basement that you think you fuck with. You think that fuck with you. They don't like you like that. They take your business in that house outside. And you wonder why people outside know your business. You and your spouse getting into it today is a problem the whole world knows. You and your kids getting into it today, the whole world knows. Africans, please don't come to America to prove a point. Buy the small house you can afford, you and your spouse. Don't go buy a big house while you signing the paperwork. In your mind, you're going to have somebody in the basement that will help you pay that mortgage. And one thing about some of you, you don't understand how the system works. If somebody stays in your basement for more than 5 years, you can't even chase that person out anymore. That person can choose not to pay you. When you take them to court, the court will say, let them stay for 1 year until they find a place to live. Now you be at loss. And now you've created enemy for the rest of your life. Why are you people bringing evil spirits in your house because you need money? Buy a house you can afford, Africans. Stop buying big houses. I see it all the time. Somebody will go buy a house, $700,000. Before you know it, they have a sign somewhere in one of these African stores looking for somebody to rent basement. You cannot afford that house. Why did you buy that house? Why you buy that house? Who you they compete with? Oju Kokoro. Why you buy the house? Who they pursue you? Who are you competing with? Buy a house you can afford so that you can be at peace, so that you can sleep at night. Don't have big mansion to invite your friends for baby shower. You invite your friends for party. You invite your friends for birthday so they will see how big your house is. But at night you can't sleep. You're looking for somebody to rent your basement. Why are you renting out a basement if you can afford a house? Why are you renting out a room in that house if you can afford it? Buy a house you can afford, Africans. Stop trying to prove a point. Who are you trying to prove a point to?
Wow. So that was a 4-minute long video and you had it all. So I watched this video last night and I saved it, and because I wanted to watch it again, and then I decided to make a video of it, like to react on it. So now, first of all, Let me tell you. So I'm a homeowner. We got our house last year, and for clarity's sake, we have a basement also, but we don't rent it, and for no reason other than we just don't want to rent our basement. If we want to rent the basement, we'll be able to do that, but we just decided not to rent it. And when Canada, he's talking about the US. Of course, we're in North America, so it all applies to us, right? What he's saying. So now, I know a lot of people that have rented their homes, that have their homes, that have basements, and have decided to rent it. So it's in two dimensions. Some people actually need to be able to use it to pay their mortgage, and the other side, which is the majority, can actually afford to pay their mortgage, but there's nothing wrong in having an extra income, right? So I'm going to be dissecting this. So first of all, not everybody that bought a house actually bought the house to impress people. That is one thing I want to talk about. Like, this guy is just lamenting on the fact, according to him, that most Africans that buy a house buy it to impress their friends, their relatives, their neighbors, and everything. Not necessarily. Yes, we have some people whose main target is to impress, but I don't think, like, does it even make sense? Like, are they even going to help you to pay the mortgage? Why are you trying to impress people if you cannot afford it? Why would you go ahead to buy a house to impress people, right? So not everybody is buying a house to impress anybody. Some people feel okay, they've reached that stage of their life that they want to buy their own home. They have the money, they have the income to buy the house, so they're going to buy it. So you should get that straight, that not everybody. And for those people that want to even impress, you cannot just want to go and impress. You just go to the bank with the motive of impressing your neighbor. The bank is not going to approve you if really you are not qualified to get a home. So to impress your neighbor or not to impress your neighbor, you will get a mortgage if you're qualified. So what you're saying there doesn't really make sense to me. And talking about putting people in your basement. So now, the perception, the way he's talking about is like anybody that put their basement on rent, it means that person cannot afford to pay their mortgage. Like, why would somebody be thinking in that direction? People put houses up for rent for different reasons. It may not necessarily be because they cannot pay their mortgage. You get that really, really straight. So there are some people that actually do that because they feel, this mortgage is so so and so amount. If we can rent out half of the house to somebody, they can pay half of the mortgage, and to ease our financial difficulty. That is fine. At least you will have something to bring an extra source of income to the house, right? No big deal about it. It's your property. You decide what you want to do with it. Those people, yes, they need to. We have other cases where you buy the house, you're a family of maybe 5 or 6. Down the line, you become a family of 3 or a family of 2. All the children have left the home, they're in university, some have gotten married, they've left. And you have a basement that you barely even go there. You barely even go to the basement. Sometimes you forget you even have the basement. Like, I just had some guests not long ago, and they have a basement, and they say sometimes they even forget they have a basement because they're just a very tiny family, but they have a house that has a basement, you know. So sometimes they just want to feel okay. They don't want to downsize the house. They still want to maintain the house, but they have a huge space in the basement, and then they rent it out. What's the big deal in that? And everybody is even looking for a side hustle. Everybody is looking for extra income, especially in this part of the world. Your 9 to 5 may not be able to cut it. Even if your 9 to 5 is cutting it, you're paying the bill, you're okay, you and your spouse income is fine. There's nothing absolutely wrong in getting additional stream of income. So some people open another business, some people go into digital marketing, some people go into this, go into that. So if you're going to be using your property to get additional income, even if that income comes, you don't use it to pay mortgage, you carry that income and use that as your savings. Is there anything wrong with that, brother? Absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that. So people have different motives, different reasons why they rent out their basement. And if they're renting their basement because they cannot afford their rent, at least they have something to rent out, right? And things happen down the line. So you have a mortgage for 25 years. The first 5 years, the first 2 years, even the first 1 year after buying the house, everything may be rosy, everything may be fine. But things happen. Things happen that you cannot now afford the house. Are you going to sell the house? No, you have to look for means to make money. Things can happen like maybe one of you losing your jobs, or the cost of living just goes high, or sickness, or something just happens that one party may not be able to work, or one party even give birth, or things happen. Don't A lot of things happen that you'll be thinking your financial life is going to keep growing, like keep expanding. Something may just happen and just bring it down. Even you talking, God forbid, something could just happen to you and you'll not be able to work and you'll be able to pay for that mortgage again. So along the line, something may happen and then you cannot afford it. You are looking for other streams of income where how you're going to sort things out. You can rent out your house. There's no big deal about it. And the way he's just emphasizing Africans, 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 it's not only Africans that do that. Even the Oyibos that we live in their country, even the Oyibos, they rent out their basements. They rent out, even if they don't have basement, they can even decide to rent out a room to a single person. Because when you do your budget and your budget is not budgeting, you will look for additional source of income now. So why is it now looking like a thing of insults, like a thing of like people should now be hiding to do it because of this kind of videos that people go and keep making, right? There are some people's houses that have legal basement. Legal basement is, I don't know if you guys have it in the US, but a legal basement here in Canada is where it has a separate entrance. The person has no business with the main house. Some houses even have their parking spaces different for the people in the basement. Like if you don't want to even park in the main house, there's space for you to park. There's space for you to enter the house that you don't have to come in through the house. You have your laundry, you have your kitchenette, you have everything. You have no business with the person upstairs. So if I'm able to now buy that kind of house, I shouldn't rent it out. Okay. Even if the house is not a legal basement where they can enter on their own, even if we're entering from the same entrance, I have the right to choose who I want to rent in my house. I can decide that, okay, this is not a legal basement. This person is going to be interacting with me once in a while. Then I'm just going to take a single person, or I'm going to take a couple that don't have children, or I'm just going to take maybe a student. You know, you decide who you want to put in your house. And this one that you're saying evil spirits, you're bringing people who carry your business outside and all that, like even if you don't have people renting your house, as long as you're living in a community and you have friends and you have people, they will always know your business. So it's not only it's even when you put people in your own basement that you will be very, very careful. You understand? Yes, I know things happen. You may even people in your basement maybe don't want to report you to the police or report you maybe if you're manhandling your children or something. That one is there. But when an individual rents his basement, that person will be very, very careful for things like this. They're all adults, for God's sake. You don't need to make a video to say all these type of things, right? And one thing you should get straight is that tenant or no tenant in the basement, people can pay their mortgages. A lot of people can pay for their mortgages, but there's absolutely nothing wrong in getting additional income from renting it out. Especially like in a community where I stay now, where housing is very, very difficult to get. People are looking for houses like, and you see an opportunity and your basement is just lying there doing nothing. You barely go there. You rent it out, like left to me, left to me, I don't mind us renting our basement because sometimes I don't even go there in a day. I don't even go there in a day. If not that, okay, our laundry is downstairs in the basement, I may not even have any business going there in a week, right? I don't mind because even if it means getting that money from the tenants and just pushing it in a savings, do you know what that means? Even if I'm going to be collecting 500 from that person, 500 in a month, in a year, do you know how much that is? That's an additional source of income that instead of even going to get a second job outside, why won't I just rent it out? Like if I'm in financial constraints, why won't I just rent out my basement and instead of spending hours doing a second job and I won't even have time to enjoy my home? So that video to me doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really make sense. So when we're looking at the part where we're criticizing this guy's video, for him to pick up his camera and talk about it, he may have multiple examples. Like if you look at the comment under that video, I don't think if I can trace it. I downloaded this video, but if you see the comments, a lot of comments that shows people that have practical examples of people that even not even basement, they don't even have basement. Maybe they have a 3 room, they bought a 3 room or 4 room apartment, and then they now push their families to live in two, and then they're renting two out. Like not a basement, like you're all in the same house. So you're jeopardizing your family's privacy because they're all going to be in the same house. And when you're renting your house and that person's name is that person, like is legally his address, the person has some rights in the house. You get to share your toilet, you get to share everything, share the kitchen, they have examples. But I know for somebody to go into that kind of arrangement, it means that person is really, really in a financial difficulty. And it's not something we should laugh about, because when they got their mortgage in the first place, they didn't anticipate such a thing happening to them. They never believed that they would be able to rent out their house to other people, to bring strangers into their home, to come into their private lives and all that. Nobody ever emphasizes that. But things happen along the line. Things happen to people's lives that we just pray. Let's just keep praying that whatever situation we're in should always keep improving positively, not going down, because things happen. I see a lot of things happening in my community. I see a lot of things happening in my line of business, my job. That we just have to keep praying that things don't happen for us to do things that we never believed we could do. So people gave such examples, though there are some people that bite more than themselves. Like, I work in a financial institution, right? People come for mortgages, and when we advise them that, okay, based on you people's income, you cannot afford this house. You cannot afford this house. You see them looking for different ways to qualify for that particular house. Tell them no. It's not a matter of that you have a down payment. Down payment is easy to get, but how can you sustain this thing? You now see them, okay, they'll now go and look for a second job, or they'll tell, oh, they're doing a second job, or even before coming to apply for that, they go and pick up a second job to augment their main jobs to be able to qualify for that home. How long are you going to be able to do a second job just because you want to live in a particular house? So we see such situations where somebody sees a house way, way beyond their capacity, and they still choke their head, they still go for it. In fact, when a regular bank cannot qualify them, they go through mortgage brokers that will look for whichever bank, whichever financial institution that will give them that house, thereby paying a higher rate or going into mortgages that they don't even understand, and down the line they'll be like, what took me to this kind of financial institution and all that. So they go all out to get that kind of house. So those are kind of people that down the line they start facing the problems that the financial institution has envisaged for them, and then they eventually are forced to rent their basement, rent rooms out, you know. So we have that class of people, and for him to make that video, I'm very sure he has practical example of people that are doing that to impress. Like, I also know a lot of immigrants that come in, and the first year their main target is to buy a house. They want to buy a house so that they'll be able to, 1 year in Canada, 1 year in the US, I bought my house, I was able to. No, it's a financial trap for you to buy a house just to impress people, or to, it's people do that, but it doesn't make sense, as I said earlier, for you to buy a house to impress people, because when it comes to paying for that mortgage monthly, nobody's going to help you. You can't even go and borrow money. You can't even go and borrow money to pay, because everybody will know that, okay, you just bought a house. Now if you bought a house, what's your business with borrowing money? I hope this helps to react to that man's video. It resonates with me in some cases, but most of it I just feel no, it doesn't make sense. Like, people don't buy houses to impress people in majority of the time, but if you look closely, there's still some people that do that, and those are people that fall into this financial trap, that are forced to be able to rent their basement, right? So see you in my next video. Let me know your comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this video. Does it make sense? Do you have example of people that like cannot pay their mortgages? And let me know what you think. See you in my next one. Bye.